سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. باب الهبة, and chapter on gifts. قال وعن النعمان بن بشير رضي الله عنهما أن أباه أتى به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إني نحلت ابني هذا غلاما كان لي. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكل ولدك نحلته مثل هذا؟ فقال لا. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فارجعه. وفي لفظ فانطلق أبي إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليشهده على صدقتي فقال أفعلت هذا بولدك كلهم؟ قال لا. قال اتقوا الله واعدلوا بين أولادكم. فرجع أبي فرد تلك الصدقة. وعند مسلم قال فأشهد على هذا غيري. ثم قال أيسرك أن يكونوا لك في البر سواء؟ قال بلى. قال فلا إذن. So An-Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu anhu reports that his father Bashir radiallahu anhu took him once to the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, and he wanted basically to give him a gift, and it was one of his servants, one of his slaves. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam asked him, did you give all your children like that? And Bashir said no. Then the Prophet ﷺ then said, take it back. And in a different narration, he wanted to make the Prophet ﷺ a witness for this gift. And the Prophet ﷺ refused to do that. And he said that fear Allah and be fair and just amongst your children. And he also added in a different narration, that do you like all of them to be equally pious to you? So he said yes. Then the Prophet ﷺ said no. So the key thing basically that gifting the children is okay, but then you have to be just and fair amongst them. According to the Hanabil, that it is a must, it is fard actually, that when you gift them you have to distribute it equally. Of course, sometimes, one child might require more expenses than others. Like one person goes to a different school, you pay different tuition. So these are the expenses, so long you're allowing everyone equally. But if you're giving someone, let's say, a piece of land or a house or something, then all of them have to be equal. According to other scholars, it is mandub and it is not fard. But the Hanabila, they made it very strict that it is mandatory to be equal and fair and just.
So if it's Mercedes, it has to be all Mercedes, no?
It has to be the same year.
That's why God created Hondas. Can afford it.
SubhanAllah. The child is the one who should pay the parents, not vice versa. Now you have to take care of the children and their children. وعن ابن عباس قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم العائد في هبته يقيء ثم يعود في قيئه. وفي رواية ليس لنا مثل السوء الذي يعود في هبته كالكلب يرجع في قيئه. نسأل الله العفو والعافية. So the Prophet ﷺ said, according to Ibn Abbas, that the one who gives a gift then takes it back, it's someone like vomits and take it back. And in a different narration, it's like the dog. Like the vomitus of the dog is najis, right? And then taking it back, this is, the Prophet said, لَيْسَ لَنَا مَثَلُ السَّوْءِ. This is such a bad example. So when you give a gift and it's delivered, it's not like you're promising or you're thinking of it. Once you give it, you don't take it back. So if you take it back, it's like retreating the vomit is back. Except قال وعن ابن عمر وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهم جميعا عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يحل لرجل مسلم أن يعطي العطية ثم يرجع فيها إلا الوالد فيما يعطي ولده. So this is the exception. The Prophet ﷺ said it is not allowed for a Muslim to give a gift and then take it back, except for the parent when he gives to his child. It is okay to take it back. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Sheikh Basim, is there a minimum value for the gifts where these rules don't apply? Or is it like if you give one piece of candy, you gotta give them all? Like, for
The
example,
Prophet ﷺ said, اعدلوا بين أولادكم ولو في القبل. So be fair even when you give a kiss. If you kiss someone, you have to kiss the other one. Subhanallah. So with these minimal things, if you give someone candy now, the other one may not need it. That doesn't, has to be contextualized, basically.
Was he present?
Yeah.
Was he present at the same time or not? That matters.
So these things.
So if I spent on my first son's wedding, let's say I spent $20,000, 5 years ago, because he wasn't really making much money at the time. So now that comes the turn of the second son, who is doing well, has enough money. Do I need to spend an equivalent amount on his wedding, or as long as he can afford it, just let him spend from it?
So like he's satisfied and he's happy, meaning, you spend on someone 20, you cannot do the exact same copy paste, Sometimes you rent a different hall, different food, so long you're fulfilling their needs, basically. That's the key thing. And that goes, you send someone to NYU, you pay $90,000 in tuition, and you send someone to UH and you pay $12,000. So you're fulfilling their needs.
هناك فرق بين العدل والمساواة. العدل يختلف عن المساواة.
That's a concept doesn't apply here. So
What was his point?
that equality is not fairness. There are difference between being equal to the point and being fair. That concept doesn't apply here.
Because I might think that this second son is doing okay, he doesn't need me to spend, but he might remember what had happened 5 years ago.
Then you have to give him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't spend 20 on the first one to begin.
Don't do what?
Don't spend 20 on the first one.
Too late.
في بعض الأحيان عند واحد ضعيف